What about RC? Because RC is pretty, or not pretty, but at least definitely more open-ended than is CR.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did you go about getting such a good hold on reading comprehension?
Sir, I think first one should understand what is the fundamental skill that is being tested in an RC.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if you really think about it, then RC is basically GMAT is trying to understand whether you can read and understand something. Pretty simple,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And what you read is it should not be something like a normal book or something. It should be something
Hmm.
that is challenging because RC has challenging passages and you are expected to read them, make sense out of them, and answer 3 to 4 questions on them.
Hmm.
So your ability to read and understand something is being tested in RC, right?
Hmm.
So for that, I think your mind should be accustomed to reading, and not just reading.
Hmm.
Your mind should be accustomed to reading challenging things, things that your mind does not find itself comfortable to read in the first place. So
Hmm. Hmm.
let's say a newspaper article; those are sometimes difficult to understand, or just GMAT RC passage only. You can read more and more of those. So your mind
Hmm.
needs to be habituated to reading challenging things,
Hmm.
basically. And once you are able to understand the passage, then I don't think the questions are so difficult or something that you won't be able to mark the right answer. Like majority
Hmm.
of the times, 80 to 90% of the times, if you have understood the passage well, you will be able to answer the questions as well. So the key lies in understanding the passage, and the small tips like you share in the class, like like just see the overall organization of the passage, and like once
Hmm.
you have read the passage, then watch the tone, watch like
Hmm.
however, or the some specific words that are coming. It
Hmm.
denotes
Hmm.
the tone is shifting and all. So all
Hmm.
those small tips you can keep those in mind. They certainly help a lot. And RCs, I feel, are more of a momentum sort of a thing. Uh,
True.
so it's
Hmm.
like if you solve RCs for 10 days, and then you have a break of 4 days or 5 days in between. Then on the
Hmm.
15th day, when you start again, you won't be at the same level at the end of your 10 day.
Yeah.
You would be much below that. So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think one it's very important to solve RCs every day. Even if you solve 2 to 3 RCs, that would just take around half an hour.
Yep.
uh, Even if you solve that much every day, it is fine. But I think
Hmm.
RCs one should practice every day so that the mind is continuously in that every day it gets fed that thing so that it gets accustomed more and more and more and more. So
Hmm.
you get very comfortable after a point, and whatever however difficult a passage comes, you don't feel कि what is this and ये क्या पढ़ रहा हूँ मैं, you will understand
Hmm.
it.
Yes, I think that is a very important point. RC is hugely, hugely a feel thing, right? Ki how good you're
Hmm.
feeling when you're solving that passage, right? How comfortable you're feeling. Of course, that doesn't mean ki, everything else is completely vague and you just go by feels and we are here for the fights, right? So there are, of course, ideas that how you should go about skim reading a passage, how to eliminate strong answer choices in inference questions, and sometimes there are direct sentiment or tone-based questions in RCs as well, or how to approach the primary purpose question, separate or segregate the opinion of the author, the other side. All of those things are there, but at a fundamental level, you really do want to be habituated to reading, right? And newspaper articles are a really good source, right? So if you're not in the habit, start reading one or two editorials every day, right? So you can do it from any open source online newspaper. Make sure it's online because that's the angle at which you'll be reading on the test day as well. Very good sources of good passage structures and generally the passage structures that you will also encounter on the GMAT, right? And then all of those ideas that we discussed during the sessions, they also make a lot of sense. But
More or less that only, to keep small tips, the like small tricks which you share in your videos, those in mind and practice. And another thing was that like for me particularly, I used to have some like at the like during the end phase of my preparation, I
Mhm.
used to have problem with humanities based RC. So RCs are
Mhm.
of different types, right? Scientific ones, biological ones, or some
Mhm.
geography, some they will ask, or economics, politics, and history. So I used to have some problem with the humanities based ones. So I
Mm-hmm.
I specifically, solved. I went to GMAT club and I solved 10, 15 of those as well, and I got
Mm-hmm.
comfortable with it. So this thing also you can try to do to identify if you have a problem with RC as a whole, or is it just that some type of RC you are uncomfortable with. For example, someone with a non-science background would have a bit of a challenge in solving a physics-based
Right.
RC or something. So,
Mm-hmm.
you can familiarize yourself by having targeted practice there as well. But that comes once you have, of course, completed your basic things first.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think humanities passages is something that a lot of you find challenging, right? It's a common issue that I have run into that humanities passages are a challenge. Surprisingly, economics passages never turn out to be a challenge. So
Hmm.
something unique there. So it's either humanities or science, more humanities than science, for obvious reason that, most of our students are engineers, so science passages still would feel a bit more comfortable or a bit closer to home. But again, I mean, even for humanities passages, when you sort of look at it from the score perspective, all of the transitions, all of the shifts, all of the contrasts are pretty much going to be the same as exist in a science passage or in an economics passage, which is right. So again, when you push yourself to practice things that your mind is not naturally comfortable with, that's kind of where the magic happens. And it does happen, right?
100%.
So now let's talk about the DI section, right?